the middle, base hit. Lawrie is going to get an RBI as the first run of the ball game will come in for the Blue Jays, and Conachon scores, and how about that? Brett Lawrie gets an RBI single in his first big league at bat.
Sportsfeld story time. Last month felt so good looking back at those 2009 Blue Jays. We thought, let's keep it rolling to... I mean, we're in a baseball mood also. I guess it's sort of another thing. We talk about baseball all day, every day. We are guys who love baseball. And we were thinking back and what the sort of theme of that Halladay Jays era was. And it was sort of always waiting to take that next step. And then we sort of thought about, since Halladay left, what were the times that we let ourselves believe that this team, the Blue Jays, were on the up and up? I know that between 2000 and 2015, I believe they were on the up and up like 9 times, probably, personally.
Yeah, I can remember. I have this very vivid memory. I don't know what season it was. I feel like it was, it must have been like 2005, maybe. When was Jesse Litch first around?
Oh, boy.
Let's see. I can't remember if it was exactly 2000. Yeah, like 2007. Yeah, it was. And Gustavo Chacin, AJ Burnett was there. Halladay started like 10-2 or something. Or Halladay started like 12-0, I want to say. And I remember being on vacation with my parents and like following the Jays scores from wherever we were. And just being like, man, this is it. They have the rotation. They're going to put it together.
I think that same season, am I thinking of 2006? There was a year when Reed Johnson was like an unbelievable player. And that was the year where I was like, okay, if this is what's happening, if Reed Johnson is having like an unbelievable year, maybe this team actually can. He hit like 320. I think it was 2006. Yeah, so 2006. He basically he hit 320 and he was unbelievable. That was sort of the year where I was like, all right, they're going to be a thing. And then again, in 2008, when they won 86 games, I was like, this is it. Halladay's great. Rios is great. They have Roland, Vernon, if he bounces back, like he's a good player. He's a Gold Glover. Yeah.
Oh, this
2008, I definitely thought.
2003 is what I'm thinking of, because Halladay wins. He loses his first 2, and then Halladay wins like 17 straight games for this team. And in this process, they go from being down on May 1st, they're 11 and a half games back. And then on June 12th, they were 1 game back. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they blew it at the end of the season, like 15 games back, but still won 86 games. But it was that kind of like there was so many moments, even in like 2013, 2014, there was always 1 month where they won like 11 straight. And you're like, this is it. It's finally happening. And then it never did. Like there was the 11-game win streak in 2013. There was the big run in, I want to say it was like July or August in 2014 that was kind of capped by that 19-inning game. And it was just like they were always so close. I could never put it together. And there were so many different groups and teams and like cores that were like, okay, these guys are here, or this guy has arrived. And now we're going to take the leap.
Mm-hmm. One of those moments was a big surprise. And the moment we're focusing on this month is the Brett Lawrie arrival, specifically his game-winning walk-off home run against the Boston Red Sox, which I think was peak Lawrie mania, absolute like pandemonium. It comes off the heels. We talked in the previous month about the Halladay 2009 and sort of the fallout from that. The big Halladay Burnett game was our focus, but in the last episode we talked about after that they made the Halladay trade. They made that tough decision, and I remember at the time, the 2010 season wasn't one that I expected to be very good. They were pretty bad the year before, and they traded Halladay. And it was sort of like, okay, we're about to go into an extended rebuild, but they turn around and win 85 games because Jose Bautista hits 54 home runs and Vernon Wells has a bounce back. When a team is good, Lyle Overbay is a huge piece to have. And
man, Jose Bautista's 2010 is disgusting.
Crazy. And then even as they sort of fall off and it becomes apparent they're not going to win, the division. We didn't expect that, but it was sort of like, hey, it's a winning team and they can build from this. The guys are in their primes. Rios was, Rios was gone too. That's right. They had Batista and Adam Lim was only 26, and there was a sneaky right at the end of the year. They called up JP Arencibia, and he had that unbelievable day in his debut. Hits the home runs in his debut.
First pitch swinging, right field, back at the track and gone! Can you believe this? 4 for 4, 2 home runs in his big league debut. Who says you can only swing at a AAA?
And his mom, Irene Arencibia, excited, saying, "This is awesome. We need to go to a higher league. This game is not that easy."
Well, I guess he could have stopped at third for the cycle. Travis Snyder, first pitch. The crowd's still abuzz here as Upton records the second out of the inning. But Arencibia gives the curtain call. You don't see much of that around here.
And it's like, oh my God, we had this extra piece. 22-year-old Travis Snyder is on this team and hits 14 home runs, OPS plus 105. As well, Ricky Romero, 25 years old, Brandon Morrow, 25 years old.
Sean Markham's 28.
Yeah, Morrow was especially he had that unbelievable start.
Morrow again had 1-2, and Crawford chases 2 up, 2 strikeouts for Morrow. Longoria will look for one to hit here, 1-2, and he can't find it. Morrow goes back to the breaking ball and strikes out the side to start the game for the Jays. Longoria on the way, swing and a miss, strike 3. Brandon Morrow, spectacular effort, 17 strikeouts, 1 hit, first career complete game, and the Blue Jays sweep the Rays with a 1-0 win.
I can see the next core here sort of starting to build.
Brett Cecil has a great year.
Man, Brett Cecil was another guy, 23 years old, a ton of youth, all the best players young. If you're if they blend in at the same time as Batista really becoming a real deal and Vernon another bounce back year, they only need, Snyder is supposed to be the left fielder and you have Arencibia as the catcher. It's here comes the core. That offseason, truly, I think, is when you went from okay, they surprised me to okay, now I'm talked into them being a great team.
Mm-hmm.
Down the road. They went out and they traded Sean Markham for Canadian. Hilarious. I'm just looking at him on my screen. I just you can't help but smile. Langley, BC's very own.
John Farrell, his first year as well. Big expectations there.
I remember not a 100% agreement on trading Markham at the time.
Yep. Well, he was Romero was the quote unquote ace, but was still young. Markham was kind of the established guy. We were he's anchoring the rotation. I remember that.
And
acquired John Rauch.
Yes.
In the offseason. Traded for Rajay Davis.
This one's it's a bit more of a reality check of a year, right? It's okay, maybe we're not an 85 win team just yet.
It's also the big one of they traded Vernon Wells in that offseason.
That's the real first, you're moving on 100% from that old core. And that was okay, now we're cheering for the exciting young guys, right? That is sort of that was that flagship move. And the Anthopoulos really staking his claim to things. Colby Rasmus, another young guy, he's 24, gets brought into this 2011 team. So you have 23-year-old Snyder, 24-year-old Colby Rasmus, 25-year-old Arencibia, 24-year-old Eric Thames, and you add 21-year-old Brett Lawrie into the mix. Listen, if you are a Blue Jays fan and you weren't there for Brett Lawrie, I don't know what to tell you.
It's one of those weird not only a flash in the pan career, you could say, but from a Blue Jays fan perspective, you will never, if you weren't all in on the Blue Jays when Lawrie Mania happened, it is impossible to explain. Because it was so quick. You can't even say it ended poorly because they traded him for Donaldson, but it was so quick. It had so many sort of narrative layers to it. It got kind of ugly in the like analytics versus, Jays fan discussion. The way he played, his attitude, the 3 years, I guess, of Brett Lawrie, there will never be quite anything like that again.
Yeah, truly wild. The 2021, or pardon me, the 2021, the 2011 team, they're sort of middling most of it, like 500 basically the whole way. Like they're 6-6, and then they're 13-13, and then they're 22-22, and they're 29-29. You know what I mean? And then they're like 47-47. Like they hover around that basically the whole way. 61-60, 60-66. It was very apparent the whole year they were going to be a 500 team. They really don't ever stray too far from that, but we were counting it up to growth. And as you said, Romero in particular was somebody that looked like, oh my goodness, this guy, what a good pick to take him one ahead of Troy Tulowitzki. I think Romero was another guy. Went through all the young kids, but also all the pitchers as well. Kyle Drabeck, believe it or not, made it 14 starts for this team.
Really?
Yes, he did.
That's wild. I remember this was kind of a weird year to follow too. I was still in Montreal at the start of this season, and it was kind of like, because of the success of the 2010 year, and then sort of the excitement, weirdly in retrospect, of trading Wells and new manager, new GM. It just felt like it really did feel like the beginning of something.
Mm-hmm. And Lawrie was the exclamation point on that feeling. We will get to that in the next episode, but he really was sort of the exclamation point. Another interesting wrinkle on this year is sort of Edwin Encarnacion moving to DH. This is the Juan Rivera year, if that helps you at all. Jose Molina, how about that?
Do you want to remember some guys?
This is the year to do it. Another guy that comes along in this Lawrie era is Colby Rasmus, who I can't ever really tell how he's being remembered. Poorly,
I think.
He was basically average in his time. And really good in his last Jays season. And
had just some like real expectations. Like we talked about this in the last story time. Like I was so excited for Colby Rasmus.
Yeah, he was pretty good in 2013 he was great. 276, 338, 22 home runs. And I always liked him as a fielder too. I'll always fall for the Colby Rasmus.
Yeah, me too.
Sort of trick every time. I can't help it. Man, the 2011, I keep wanting to say 2020. The 2011 Blue Jays, you get Brandon Morrow in the mix as well, a guy that really sort of has that breakout. You said it. It's hard to even explain how much this felt like what we think. I guess it's like sort of like what it feels like in 2020 and 2021, where you're like, we have the young core guys, we have Batista as our, I'm going to say Springer-esque, but we were starting to really appreciate his sort of presence there, and then. Aaron Hill was a veteran guy, sort of akin to a Semien, who was a plus fielder and a power hitter. It was like, yeah, this is a team that maybe in a few years, maybe in 2012, maybe in 2013, are able to like really push everything forward here. And if only we had a young star third baseman that we could call up at age 21.
And then
you want to talk about, polarizing feelings, Jake. You're talking about not knowing how to feel about something. In August, first of all, they make deals. They get that Rasmus deal. They trade Jason Frazier for Edwin Jackson. A lot of deals. Aaron Hill gets traded for Kelly Johnson. Remember that?
Oh yeah, Kelly Johnson. I want Kelly Johnson to be really good. I remember that. I was like, he's going to be a great second baseman. Because he was like pretty decent in Atlanta, I want to say.
Yeah, I want to say that too.
I remember that being a thing.
Now, why can't I find the Brett Lawrie call up?
August 7th, I believe. No, that was the Arencibia game. August 4th?
Why is this not on my...
August 4th, 2011. He's called up. Travis Snyder is sent down.
I mean, how am I supposed to feel, right?
Truly, I don't know how you're supposed to feel that.
Listen, Snyder had a terrible year. He hit 225. He didn't get on base. He didn't hit for power. 23 years old, and in the minors for the third time in 3 years. It was not good. It was not a good scene. It was not a good scene for Snyder Nation. 61 games, did not hit well. What can you do? And then Brett Lawrie comes on and absolutely explodes. And it's like a supernova. And it's like, oh, I guess this is happening. But oh boy, what a supernova it was. We're going to go through the first few games of the Lawrie Experience and then tee up the flair for the dramatics that only Brett Lawrie could ever have on the next episode of Sportsfeld Storytime.